There we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Kevin, I got you.
Perfect. So since it's just you and I'll ask you real quick. Do you want me to handle the presentation, or do you want me to try to pass the handle to you? I can make you a presenter. It's one of the options.
Yeah, I know. I've been through this. Sometimes I think it's, I like to concentrate on what I'm watching.
Sure. No problem.
So if you don't mind doing it, I mean, I sent it to you in PDF. Control L will make that PDF an entire screen.
Yeah, well, I have it on the I have the links there. It's probably easiest if I just run it off your website, if that works for you too.
No, it's not the website link. The website is an older presentation.
Okay.
So let me.
All right, let me make sure
this is a new presentation I just did today.
Okay, so let me check my email here. Okay, so this one attached is the short presentation. All right, I'll download that and load it up for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, we did a drone flight out there, so we have some drone shots for you.
Okay.
Hi, Jim. Hi, Ed.
Good evening.
How's it going?
Good, thanks.
Hey, Ed. Kevin Freeman. I'm secretary. Let me just get your title there.
Was that question for Ed?
Yeah.
I'm Ed Wright with CNS Engineers. I'm a project manager.
You're a project manager, you say? Are you with the county?
He's one of our consultants.
Got it. And who are these other gentlemen? I see a Robert and a James.
James Dickens is another consultant from CNS. He's another one of the consultants from CNS Engineers. I don't know a Robert. I don't know the Robert person.
Robert Pikewitz, if I get that right.
I was just listening to the meeting. Is that all right?
Of course, of course.
All right.
You are just
I'll be
a
muting
citizen.
off video.
No problem. You are a citizen of Ulster.
Yep.
Great. Eric Kenna.
Hi, Kevin. Can you hear me?
I can, and I can see you now too.
Okay.
Thank you. I have a phone number ending in 38. Could you identify yourself?
It's Joe Mayone.
Hey, Joe.
Dan Schuster.
Hey, Dan, there you are. And I have a phone number ending in 40. Could you identify yourself, please?
Hi, that's me, Tamara.
Tamara, hello, Tamara. And I see ASKPA. Is that not you as well, Tamara?
That's also me. I do that so I can see you through my computer, but I have to talk with you through my home phone.
Got it. And we have a new phone number who came up ending in 28. Could you identify yourself?
Yes, George Ratter.
Hey, George.
How's everybody doing tonight?
So far, so good.
So far, so good.
Yeah. Hey, Jeannie.
Hello, Kevin, and everyone.
Hello, Jeannie.
Hi, Dan. We are having an echo.
Yeah, well, when we start muting people, that'll go away.
Okay.
Dennis, what happened to the mustache?
Yeah, well, it went away. So we're trying a new look here. Actually, I had a beard for a while and then I got rid of that as well. So,
I know the problem. They both were turning gray, right?
oh, that's not a problem. I'm glad I made it that far.
Also, difficult with masks.
Yeah, that's right. It is. So, Kevin, SPET is Steve Peterson. He's the head of emergency management. So.
Enter your access code or meeting number followed by pound. Enter your attendee ID number followed by pound. If you do not know your attendee number, press pound to continue.
And here's Tim. Hi, Tim. I'm getting echoes, Kevin.
Yeah, I heard that too.
I thought you might.
Can you hear me, guys? It's Patty.
I hear you.
Okay, I'm not on camera tonight. I'm just on audio tonight.
Good. Okay, Patty.
Yes.
Thank you for
You're
being
welcome.
here. And we have Joe
Yes, I'm
and
here,
Tim.
Jeannie.
Yes. And George. Thank you, George, for being here.
Do we know about Henry and Holly?
Both were supposed to be here. If Henry can't get on, he will come on by phone.
Okay. We have somebody ending in 39. I might not have been able to.
What about Joe?
Joe's here. Joe's is the phone number ending in 38.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. Thank you, Joe.
39, I don't know who it is, and I can't unmute, so I don't know who that might be.
We need a couple more ZBA members before we have a quorum. Or a full board.
Well, we have a quorum right now, right, Jeannie?
We have a quorum, but we don't have a full
Mhm.
board.
Who's the phone number ending in 72, please?
Kevin, can you hear me?
Yeah, who's that?
Kevin?
That's Henry.
It's Henry.
Okay, so 72 is Henry.
Good.
I got it on the iPad, and I told Jeannie today AOL screwed up and said not supported, so I can't get on the iPad.
Here's Holly.
Hi.
Hi, Holly. For being here.
Okay, let's do it.
Well, I only see 3 other people video. Is that what you guys see too?
All right, I'm on, but I'm not just on audio tonight, Holly. It's Patty.
Okay.
There's a lot of phone people today.
Patty, Henry, and Joe are on audio, but not video.
All right.
I'm gonna try.
Yes.
I'm gonna try to do it on the computer and see if it'll come up, or I'll stay on the phone.
Henry.
Yes.
Yep. George Rudder's on the phone.
Yes, George Redder is on the phone. We can hear you, George.
We can hear you all too.
Good. Thank you for being here.
Can we begin?
Are we ready, Kevin?
It looks like we're ready. I'm just going to tell people to cut down on some of the background noise and the feedback. That you may be muted. If you need to speak, you can chat in the chat box. And if you are muted on a phone, you can hit *6, I believe, to mute yourself and unmute yourself. That's it for me.
Yeah.
Marketing.
Tell me when I can go.
You go. All good.
Okay. I want to say good evening. Welcome to the November 2nd, 2020 meeting of the Town Board of Appeals. I would now like to ask ZBA Secretary Kevin Freeman, who is graciously hosting this meeting, to make any announcements necessary. Do you have anything, Kevin?
I have nothing else to add. Again, I would ask people to please mute yourselves whenever you're not speaking. If you need to unmute yourself on the phone, it's *6. But otherwise, I'm going to kind of keep an eye on whatever boxes light up that have audio coming that aren't part of the conversation, and perhaps mute you as well.
Very good. Thank you. So welcome. I now call the zoning board November 2nd meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals to order. I am going to begin with a roll call of the members of the zoning board. I am Jeannie Goldberg, chairperson of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Also present are Patty Kelly, vice chairperson. Say
Here.
hi, Patty.
Here, I'm here.
Tim Scott,
Here.
Joe Mayone,
Here.
Henry Rua,
Yes.
and Holly Strutt, our alternate.
Here.
Thank you, Holly. Since we need 3 members present to form a quorum, and we have 5 regular board members plus 1 alternative present, I am declaring a quorum present, and the meeting can now begin. Only item for tonight's meeting is, Mr. Doyle, a public safety radio tower to be constructed at 35 Quarry Road in Saugerties. This will be presented by Dennis Doyle, Director of the Ulster County Planning Department. I have a couple things to say. This is not the usual appellate function of the ZBA, but its original jurisdiction. under section 245-38, public projects and improvements of the town of Saugerties zoning law. This is a proposal of the County of Ulster to construct a 180-foot public safety tower at 35 Quarry Road in Saugerties. The property is located in the town of Saugerties, but it's owned by the County of Ulster. The county is seeking a determination from the ZBA for this facility under the Monroe Balance of Public Interest tests to determine whether or not it is immune from the town of Saugerties zoning law. I would remind everyone that this is not a public hearing. It is an initial presentation to the zoning board. There will be a chance at the next meeting for anyone from the public to write or speak regarding this proposal. I will now turn the meeting over to Mr. Dennis Doyle to make a presentation about this project. Following his presentation, members of the zoning board and their consultants may ask questions or make comments. Please, no one from the public tonight. Mr. Doyle, you're on.
Well, thank you. We very much appreciate the opportunity, and particularly on short notice, to be on your agenda. And my apologies for not getting here sooner. We should have been here, quite frankly, in January or February when we started this process with respect to the local planning board. We have with us tonight several of our consultant team at CNS Engineers. James Dickin is here, as well as Eric Kenna. And I also saw Ed Wright as well. And we also have Steve Peterson from the emergency management. So let me start. I asked Kevin was kind enough to agree to share a presentation with you. It's a short presentation. We've done this several times now. There's some really substantial changes that we did with respect to this. Given some of the comments that we heard at the last public hearing, we wanted to provide some additional information relative to that. So if you will indulge me, I'll go through a very short presentation and allow Steve Peterson to essentially introduce why we're here and what the need for this facility is. So Kevin, if you could put that presentation up.
I will do that. Is Steve unmuted? I'm just trying to look down my list here.
He looks like he's muted right now.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, okay, I'm unmuted now, yes.
Okay. Let's try this as a new experience for us. So let's try the share out and tell me
there is
if that works. All right, so everybody can see?
Yeah. Thank you, Kevin. So as described, this is a county public safety radio tower. It's to be located at 35 Quarry Road. And the county has obtained this site from a in-rent property proceeding, cleared up a number of issues relative to the site in terms of liens and some environmental issues associated with the site. We now have ownership of the site, and we're proposing this facility looking at this in the back right-hand corner of the picture before you. Next slide, Kevin.
I skip one.
So one up, Kevin, if you don't mind.
Sorry. All right, we're back.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
That's okay.
So we want to take you through the approval process, the need for the project, the environmental work that we've done to date, some of the design work with respect to the site plan that we've completed, and then we're looking at what we would do if we're fortunate enough to be given the go-ahead in terms of building the site. Hi, Kevin. Steve, if you want to take over for this.
Yep, sure, I can do that, Dennis. Okay, can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
I think Dennis might have to mute himself to cut down on the echo.
I will.
Okay, yeah, I did hear a little bit of feedback. Yeah, that's better there now. Okay, thank you everybody for allowing us to come before the board and present our project. The current system that we have in the county is a analog conventional system. It's not a simulcast system, which is what we desire to go to. Basically, it transfers from multiple towers at the same time. We have identified the fact that there's coverage issues within the town of Saugerties. There are areas that the fire department, EMS, and law enforcement are not able to communicate with the 911 center. So this will, as you'll see as we go forward, this will address those issues and provide us coverage. So if you could go to the next slide, please. Okay, so part of our system, we currently operate on 7 tower sites within the county. Moving to the new updated and improved radio system, we're planning on doing additional tower sites, one in the town of Saugerties, and then we're also going to look out to the west in the town of Shandaken, where there's some coverage issues as well. Okay, within this current slide, you'll see the VHF simulcast portable outbound coverage at 95%. And if you could go to the next slide, please. And that's the mobile coverage, the dark green indicating, the coverage, the radio coverage in the county. Next slide. Okay, so this drills down to the town of Saugerties. You can see where the arrow is pointing. The gray area indicates coverage, and the white area indicates where there is a lack of coverage within the Saugerties area. So as you go to the next slide, you'll see that fill in. So that indicates that with the coverage maps, the propagation maps that we did, that shows that there's a coverage. The coverage improves for the Saugerties area. If you could just go back one and then go forward again, you'll see that coverage change. Right. Okay, you can go to the next slide. Dennis's issue.
Sure, Steve, I can take it over. So thank you. And thanks, Steve, for that explanation. So when we looked at the existing sites the existing site that we had, we looked at areas in this site that would make the most sense for this proposed facility. And we looked at the northeast corner of the site. The property line is about 40 or 50 feet from the existing circle on that site. You can see it when we show the survey map later. And it is an existing county-owned site, and it was, as everyone is aware in the Saugerties area, a former tire dump.
Yeah.
And the next slide.
Yeah.
So what we've done to date is we've completed a seeker short EAF. We've done a view shed analysis. We've done some photo simulations of the areas where the site was visible based on our view shed analysis. We've looked at historic and archaeological work that's done, and we've completed that work. We've done the report for that. We have a preliminary site plan. We've done some geotechnical analysis, and we've looked at the number and types of antennas that would be on the tower facility and what the structural tower needs would be. Next slide. So we wanted to give you a sense of where this site is in relationship to a little context on the site. So these are distances to residences. The nearest residence to the east are about between 840 and 850 feet. Looking to the south all the way at the entrance into the site, that distance is about 1,700 to 1,800 feet. One of the sensitive sites that we were concerned about is the church, the Methodist church. That's about 1,500 feet, between 14 and 1,500 feet. And then sites to the east, residents to the east are about 950 feet away from the proposed tower site. Next slide, please. So in terms of site context, the tower sits in a bowl. The site is, and it's surrounded generally by higher elevations on all sides, with the exception of the south. The ridges and vegetation provide effective screening for the tower's lower sections, emphasis on lower sections. And in many cases, will block the views completely during leaf on. That's correct. The surrounding site character is low density residential with mixed commercial and highway businesses. Next slide. So this is shows you the tower site. It's at an oblique angle. It takes a look at the adjoining areas so you can get a sense of what's out there relative to the ridge lines that we were talking about and the access into the site itself. Any questions?
I have a question. Jeannie? I have driven up there and cannot find the site of the tower. Would it be possible for you to mark the site of the tower?
Sure, it's not that difficult to find it if you go up there, you know, in terms of looking at it. But
yeah.
What I would say is if you go up in there and you look, there's an existing, you can see it in this photo, there's an existing facility that was demolished up in there that the remains are still there. It's off of that facility and back behind that facility, and you can see it. It's pretty easy to spot, but we can certainly at least put something there that indicates.
Please put flags up.
Dennis, if I could just jump in there for a second. This is Steve Peterson again. I was just up there middle of last week, and there's a stake exactly where the tower is going to go. There is a stake in the ground.
Is it marked, or does it have a flag?
It's marked. It has some barrier tape on it or some tape on it, but not a flag.
What color?
Well, it's a wooden stake with orange tape on it.
Orange tape. Okay.
Okay. This is Patty. Can I say something? Jeannie, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Dennis, I was up there a week and a half ago, and assuming people are not going to get out of the car to walk this way, you really need to flag where that tower is. It means a lot to the people who live on Church Road to know exactly where it is. And in terms of the balloon test, we need to see exactly where that tower is. That would be helpful.
Well, is the stake not enough, is what you're telling me?
I want to be able to see it. People should be able to see it from their cars when they drive up there. A thing with a flag on it would be fine, just so people say, okay, that's where the tower is going to be. I can't hear him.
I can't either.
Well, I guess I understand that the board members want to visit the site, but it's not a public site.
No, but we had a comment.
The site's not open to the public. If board members want to go up, we'll be happy to escort them up. But we certainly don't want everyone driving in there given the current condition of the site and walking over it.
But the zoning board of appeals is allowed to walk in there?
Oh, absolutely.
Without?
No doubt about it. You know, we would be happy to escort you for a site visit if that's what you want. It's just that what we don't want to encourage is people to go up there and walk around the entire site, because the site does have some facilities on it that are not necessarily safe.
But can it be seen from the road?
Can it be what road? I mean, that's my question. Is there's a private road that runs up through there. There's not a public road that runs through the site.
Is Quarry Road public? Hello?
If you're asking me that question, we're not of the opinion that that it is a public road through there. If the town is of the opinion that it's a public road, that's fine.
Okay, is this, I'm
The
sorry.
town hasn't maintained the road at all. The town
Quarry
doesn't
Road.
maintain the road back through there.
Quarry Road, I believe, is public. We see some terrible echoes.
You're coming across.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Dennis, you have a microphone near your speaker, perhaps. Oh, we have two Patties. All right, Patty, that was you. I just turned on your mute.
Okay. Now
Sorry.
can you hear me without echoes?
Yes.
Okay. This, I believe, is Quarry Road that goes up to the gun club. Hello?
I guess I don't know whether you're asking me a question or making a statement. I apologize.
I am asking a question.
What's the question?
The question is, Quarry Road runs up to the gun club. Is that correct?
It's named Quarry Road. The town hasn't maintained that section of road for some time.
I believe they do maintain it up to the gun club.
Well, that's
I will
fine.
check
Then
on
if that's
that. However, the tower site is off the Quarry Road. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Can it be seen from Quarry Road?
The general site can, yes.
If the flag is there, can it be seen from the road?
I don't believe so.
No. Would it be possible to flag it so that it could be seen from Quarry Road?
I guess. I'd have to go up and look and see what the elevation differences are.
We'd appreciate that.
Thank you.
The zoning board likes to do site visits individually, of course. And we would appreciate being able to know where the tower site is.
Well, the tower site is marked by a stake when you walk off of Quarry Road. If the question is the tower site marked, Mr. Peterson has answered that question.
Yes, but it is high enough that you can see it from Quarry Road.
I don't know the answer to that question. We can work that issue out. If it becomes an issue that the board wants somebody to drive up into Quarry Road and be able to see the exact location, we'll work to accomplish that.
I think that would be appreciated by the ZBA. Thank you.
Any other questions? Next slide.
Oh, Kevin?
Yes. All right, is that you, Patty?
Kevin, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question, Dennis.
Sure.
It's unfortunate that the balloon test wasn't done before the trees were in full leaf, because it'll be difficult for people in the area to really get a good sense of what they're going to be looking at for 6 months. There was a comment at the last planning board meeting from a gentleman who lived at the end of Church Road, and he showed the balloon test almost right in his face, his property. How far away was that balloon from the end of Church Road?
The balloon test is about 850 feet from the residence, the site location.
So it's going to be fully visible for the residents on Church Road.
Not for the residents on Church Road. It will be visible for some of the residents on Church Road.
Okay.
So let me go through. So one of the things that we did on the basis of the comments that we got at the public hearing is we went up and we did a drone flight.
Yeah.
Of the location. So the slide you're looking at now is a view directly south from the proposed tower site, and that's at the height of the tower at 180 feet. And you can notice, looking south, you can see that there is a substantial amount of coverage on either side of that area. And we'll take you around the entire site. We're going to walk you around the entire site, north, south, east, and west. And I gave you an inset of the area that is visible to the south, which we mentioned in the beginning. And this is the area that we did the photo simulations from. Next slide. So you've moved, essentially, you're still at the tower site. You're looking further west. So this is a southwest direction, 180 feet. And you get a sense where this is looking primarily at the area where the church is. And you get a sense looking at this area that the church is not visible from this particular location at that height. Next
Which
slide.
church are you talking about?
I'm sorry, I'm talking about the Methodist church that's located on off of Stay Road.
Okay.
Next slide. So this is looking at, you're almost looking in a westerly direction. You can see the Catskills in the background. We picked up a rooftop of a existing residence that's off of Stay Road, and you can see the rest of Stay Road, and we can provide these photos to you. The rest of Stay Road, the residents are hidden by the vegetation and by the elevation differences associated with where the tower site is and where they are relative to that tower site.
But only when the trees are in full leaf, not the 6 months when they're not in leaf.
Well, not really. Well, the short answer is that there's a substantial amount of vegetation that blocked between these residences and the tower site. And you can see in some instances, this was taken about a week ago.
Yeah.
And you can see that some of the leaves are off already on these trees.
Some.
Next slide. So now you're looking almost northwest in this direction. And you can see the shooting range and the gun club that's back here. And you get a sense in terms of the number of residences and development that's visible from this particular location. Next slide. Now you're looking directly north into the gun club facilities. And again, you get a sense in terms of the lack of visibility from surrounding residents associated with this area. Next slide. This is looking to the northeast direction. You can see that the conics in the distance. And again, the lack of residences in this particular area. Next slide. This is looking almost directly east from the site. You can see on the bottom of the slide some mining operations that took place in here in the past, and again out in the distance at the conics, and quite a distance in terms of trying to see anything from this particular location. Next slide. So we're looking southeast into the areas at the end of Church Road. This will give you the location where there's the most visibility of the tower from the residents at the end of Church Road. There's about 4 or 5 residents in here that will have visibility of the tower at this location. Next slide. This is I blew up that section of area that looks at the tower. This is blown up. This is zoomed in at a substantial amount. look at the areas that are there, and in the inset, it gives you a look at the tax map that shows those parcels that would be visible, and the properties that are affected by the project.
What road
So
is
you can
that?
see that there's. I'm sorry.
What road is that?
That's Church Road. It's the end of Church Road.
Okay.
That's the very end of Church Road. So there's about 4 residents in here and some auxiliary buildings that would be visible, that where the tower would be visible from. Next slide. What we did here is that original slide that I showed you was looking at the visibility from 180 feet. We flew the drone at 130 feet to see whether that would improve the visibility questions associated with this. And you can see that the visibility is substantially the same at 130 feet as well. Next slide. So this is looking directly south. I want to make a correction here. This is at 130 feet looking south. So I know the slide says 180 feet. This was actually at 130 feet. This is where we started this slideshow. And you can see moving down to 130 feet doesn't improve the visibility to the south either. Next slide. So we did a view shed analysis of the facility using the DEC guidelines, identified sensitive sites. We work with the planning board in terms of where they would like photos taken, and we arrived at these locations for the photos that needed to be done. There's sensitive areas in and around directly in the site, and sensitive areas away from the front site, including potential areas where there would have been visibility from the road. And we also went across the river because we have a state designated historic site across the river as well. So we actually took some photos from across the river back of the site. We conducted the test on July 18th, and looking at the areas that were visible, the only potential visibility that we had from the chosen locations were the 2 right at the entrance to the site, one right off of Route 32 on the end of Harry Wells Road, and the other one as we moved into the site at the entrance to 35 Quarry Road, at the entrance to Quarry Road. Next slide. So here's the site from, is Eric on? Eric, you want to take these?
Yeah, I can take this, Dennis.
If I were
So
there.
when we fly the balloons, we fly 2 balloons always. We fly, the lower balloon is the tower height, and then we fly one 10 feet above that. It does 2 things for us. It means if we're looking towards the tower and maybe it's right screened by a treetop or something that's close, the higher balloon gives us a marker to make sure, hey, we can see that the tower's right below it, so we're just missing the tower there. The second thing that does is it gives us a known separation when we go to scale the tower in for the photo simulations. So we know that distance between those 2 balloons is the 10 feet or whatever we set it at. And then we use that on the simulation. So here you can see the 2 balloons being flown from this location. If you go to the next slide, you'll see the simulation. So there's the simulation, and yep. So this is a simulation of the type of tower that's proposed. It's a 180-foot self-support tower. The antennas that are on there are at the approximate heights that we anticipate them being for this system, and they are similar to the type of antennas that will be used for this system. So you can see the dish at the top for connectivity, and then the various radio antennas down through. So this is a pretty accurate representation of what we expect this tower to look like from this viewpoint. And then if you go to the next slide, this is the second location. This is right at the entrance to the site, basically, at the start of Quarry Road. There's the 2 balloons. There's, you can see the 10-foot separation between them again. And then on the next slide, we drop the tower in. And there's the tower simmed in again. So there's a pretty accurate representation of what the tower should look like at this location. The next slide is one of the other spots, the church I believe Dennis mentioned earlier. This is the location from the church. So obviously when the leaves are on, you're not going to see it. When the leaf is off, you may see it through those trees, in behind there and out behind the trees.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Which church is this?
The Quarryville Methodist, right there on the slide.
Wrong.
Dennis,
It is not
you're
Quarryville.
muted.
It is not Quarryville Methodist.
Dennis, you muted.
I don't blame him.
No, I'm sorry. If it's not, could you identify it as the right church?
Kotzbahn.
Ah.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. We can change. We can. But it is the Methodist Church, right?
Wrong.
No.
No.
Okay. So the correct label should be
Kotzbahn Reformed Church. I believe it's Reformed.
Okay.
It's on Kings Highway, Old
Definitely
Kings
in
Highway.
Yes. It is not the Centerville Methodist, but we would love to see the Centerville Methodist.
We'll change that reference.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, do you want to go to the next slide?
Sorry.
It's fine with me. So for seeker and NEPA, we have to do several things. The historic and cultural resources is a large part of this. We run this through a SHPO consultation, including the tribal consultation that's required for FCC licensing and new towers. So we received an email from SHPO concurring with the findings of our cultural resource sub, who's a certified principal investigator with the state, who reviewed the site and the area surrounding the site. And there's the summary of their response is no evidence of archaeological sites, no national register listed eligible properties within 0.05 miles. The recommendation they made that there will be no significant impact. SHPO has concurred with that. And last little piece of this is the tribal coordination. Basically, there are several tribes that require us to provide a copy of SHPO concurrence, which we have done. And then we wait 30 to 45 days to see if the tribes will respond. Some will respond, some will not. Once they get the letter, they're just done and they won't answer anymore. And then the screenings for state and federal endangered species have been conducted. There are none identified on site. There are no federal or state wetlands on site. And the overall disturbance of the project is under 1 acre. So a stormwater pollution prevention plan and permit from the DEC will not be required. So next slide. And this, I think, Jim, are you on?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, Jim Dickens will run you through the actual site design and layout to date.
Okay, this particular slide is we went out and we did a survey pretty much of the entire county property. And if you look over to the far lower right-hand corner is where the site's located. You can see there's an existing foundation for a building was there, and there's a kind of a slight access road that goes down towards the site, and that's kind of where our site is located. Again, it's less than an acre of disturbance. Next slide. This is a blow up of the compound area. Because of it being an story site, we are identifying it to fill the area with approximately, I think it's like 4 to 5 feet of fill. You can see on this is we show where the tower is. Also included is a shelter, backup generator and a fuel tank for the access and the fenced in. Next slide, please. And this is just a big blow up of just showing all the components within the fenced area. The tower site, it's a three-legged self-support tower. There's an equipment shelter for the radio equipment with a ice bridge that goes over to the tower. The backup generator is just below the shelter, and then the propane fuel tank. Our next slide. Next slide, please. I think this is you, Dennis.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks. This is just a quick overview of the balance of public interest tests, the 9 tests that are there.
Thank you.
I just wanted to put them up to make sure everybody was aware of what those tests were, and certainly the county's aware of what these tests are. And that's it.
And the zoning board is also.
What you would be.
Yes. I'm sorry, Dennis.
So the
Please
next
go
slide.
on.
No, that's fine. The next slide is just a thank you. That's all it is. That's the last slide. We just wanted to give you a sense of where our project schedule is. We're currently hoping to be able to complete some of the environmental work and design work in December and move through this and trying to get the construction underway so that we can complete by the end of 2021. Next slide. And that's just a thank you. And we appreciate the board's time and allowing us to get on your agenda. There is a project webpage. This tonight's slideshow is not on it. The former slideshow that we did for the planning board and at our public meeting are on that. The project documents, as they come in, we'll put those project documents on it, and I'll upload tonight's slideshow with the correction with respect to the church, hopefully by Wednesday or Thursday.
Churches. Plural.
Well, I don't have pictures of the other church. I only have pictures of the one.
But that should be the visual assessment.
Well, I would presume that we had a substantial discussion with the town planning board in terms of where they would like a visual assessment done. We also had work with the DEC within the DEC guidelines. If there is another church that needs to be looked at, then you need to tell me where they are and work on that basis.
In Quarryville. I would suggest that you check the 2005 Historic Resource Survey for the town of Saugerties. I think there are other things that are eligible within that.
But we do have a concurrence from SHPO and TIPO with respect to the resources that were proposed to be impacted with respect to the project, and that concurrence is that there's no adverse effect. That's within 0.5 miles of the site.
Dan, you're on. We were not involved agencies. I believe the ZBA. And here we are involved.
Dan, you're muted.
Unmute him, please.
Hello, I'm unmuted.
Good.
Just so the board is aware, the county went through the process of doing a coordinated review of the action under seeker. Unfortunately, they were not aware that the Zoning Board of Appeals was an involved agency. So the various notices in the process did not reference the Zoning Board of Appeals. It's not a fatal flaw, but at this point, what ought to happen is that the board ought to go on record as indicating that they are an involved agency
Yep.
and advise the county officially of that fact, and that they should be treated as an involved agency throughout the rest of the process. And I think if the board has any specific questions or concerns from their perspective as an involved agency, they should convey them to the county.
Thank you, Dan. Mr. Doyle, I believe I have conveyed that the ZBA is concerned about anything that is potentially enlisted agent building historically within our 2005 Historic Resource Survey. And I believe there are several within that area. And since we were not involved, we didn't know about your visual assessment, which was done in July with full leaves on. And I want to thank you for giving us a lovely tour of the foliage this fall last week. It was really nice. But I would prefer if we had a visual assessment with no leaves on the trees so that we could really see and the residents could see where the tower would be. I've never seen a visual assessment that was done with full leaves before. All right, let's let Mr. Doyle talk. Kevin, can you unmute Mr. Doyle,
I
please?
cannot unmute. I can send a request, but he is muted.
I got it. Thank you. So would it be helpful, the technology with respect to the ability to do visual assessments has advanced beyond balloon fights in many instances. And so what I would suggest that we do, at least before we move to balloon flights and making decisions in terms of what's impacted and what's not, is we can certainly go up and fly the site again with the drone now that the leaves are off.
Almost.
And get a better. Well, I guess my question is that I can't do a balloon flight either if it's only almost.
Correct.
So my question would be is when would you like me to fly a drone footage to give you a sense of what the visibility is, because we could see through those foliages in terms of see what's there. And that would sort of guide us in terms of where we'd want to take pictures or try to do additional simulations, if that's what you're asking me.
You're asking the zoning board to predict when the leaves will be off the trees?
No, I'm asking the zoning board if they would accept that methodology.
Dennis?
Thank you, Dan.
You've got the existing pictures, at least for openers. Couldn't you take a picture under current conditions from exactly where you took the previous ones?
Absolutely, Dan.
Or wait 2 weeks.
Absolutely. And that's a great suggestion. That will give you a sense of what they are in terms of where they're currently visible.
In a couple of weeks when they're off, the leaves are off. Because they were beautiful last week.
And then you can superimpose the same simulation as you did before.
So Eric is on. Eric, is that doable?
Well, I think we probably need to fly a balloon. If the trees screened it so we couldn't see it now, we'd have nothing to superimpose and know whether or not it's there when the leaves are gone.
What about on the existing photo simulations? If we could take the existing photo simulations, I think that's what you're suggesting, Dan.
Right.
Let's take the existing photo simulations and just.
So the only two that works for is if you can see the balloon. If there's a place where you can't see the balloon because the leaves screen it, then if you go take the picture with the leaves off, I still don't know where the balloon is.
Right.
Because I couldn't see it.
That's the problem with doing it with leaves on.
Well, but it's difficult to do a meeting in September when you wait till November to take the picture. So if we were going to present anything to the planning board in September, we had to do a balloon test when the leaves were on.
Well, don't you, when you took the photos, don't you have the exact view, you have the angle of the photograph? I mean, you could come close to simulating the picture now as to the same as it was then.
Only in the photos where we can see the balloons. If I can't see the balloon through a tree now, then when I go and take that picture without the leaves on, I don't know where the balloon was because I couldn't see it when I took it this time.
But if you have a record of the exact location of where the original.
No, I need to be able to see the balloon to put it in there. I can take the photos now where maybe we could see a little bit of it and try and rough it in. But if I can't see the balloon with the trees because the leaves are in the way, just because I have a picture without the leaves on, I still don't know where the balloon was behind it because I couldn't see it.
But if you have the picture with the exact location, the exact angle that the photo was taken at, you come pretty close to simulating the same photo without having the balloon.
Excuse me,
No.
you don't understand, you can't see, if you can't see the balloons, you don't know how high or.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't work. We can't guess. We're not just roughing it in based on angles. We're working off the balloon and a set separation between the balloons.
Okay, well then you might, depending on the view, you might have to fly the balloons again.
Right.
So
you're muted. Jeannie, you're muted.
Kevin, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Patty.
Okay, while Jeannie gets muted, I have a question for Dennis. Dennis, this question was asked during the planning board meeting, but I wanted to just get a little bit more clarity. Is the ownership of this tower going to be private or corporate, or is it going to be county owned?
it will be county owned.
Okay, so the maintenance of this tower is the county's responsibility, correct?
That's correct.
And do you have a maintenance schedule for this tower?
Not at this time.
Okay,
I would presume that our EMS, our emergency management folks have maintenance schedules for the towers that are there. There's inspection schedules for them, I would presume. But we don't have we can give you one if that's what you're asking us.
I just wanted to know, only because when we've been talking to cell towers, they don't really have a maintenance schedule. They come in once or twice a year, that type of thing, and they don't do anything. They're not concerned about icing or anything like that. I didn't know if that would be something that the county would be concerned about.
My sense would be is that there's an inspection, there has to be inspections done on the towers, but I don't know what with.
Okay, I just wanted to just double check that it was a county-owned facility. And then just if I could get a little clarity on when this goes up, is the county still planning to do the solar farm?
Yes, the county has plans to essentially do a solar facility at the site.
And if that's the case, have your designs for the tower taken into consideration the fall zone of the tower so that when the solar people come in, they know how far away they have to stay from the tower?
The solar companies are aware of where the tower site would be located.
And where the fall zone is?
Well, my sense would be is that they're not that concerned about a fall zone for the solar facilities themselves.
Really? Okay.
Only for residences.
All right, so, and the other question is, I just want to make sure that this is not going to be an opening for cell towers to start coming in and asking the county if they can put these cell towers up on this site. This is going to be for the specific tower and the potential for a solar farm. Is that correct?
The tower will be designed, we're looking at loadings for the tower right now. And what we're trying to do is make sure that we have enough spare capacity in the tower for other first responders to utilize the tower. And there's some requests for those first responders that may come out, would likely to come out from the Saugerties area. The county has no plans of leasing this facility to other self providers, if that's the question.
That is the question. All right. Now, the other thing is, you talked about this being the system presently is an analog system, and you're going to switch over. Is that correct?
I'm going to ask Steve to answer that.
Okay, because my question is, the equipment that our first responders and our emergency services use now, are they going to be compatible? How is that going to work? Are the emergency services putting their equipment on the tower? Or do they have to have equipment that is compatible with what you're building?
The equipment that the local emergency services has will be compatible. In addition, it will be provided with equipment, if necessary, to be compatible with the new system.
Okay, but their stuff doesn't go up on the tower itself.
They will have the opportunity to place antennas on the tower, as Mr. Doyle had stated, to improve their coverage within their communities, if they so choose.
Okay, and that would have a cost to it, yes? To the particular firehouse or police station or something like that?
Yeah, that's an agreement that the county can have with the agency.
Okay.
And I don't believe that there would be any cost involved in that.
Okay. And then when I was looking at your coverage map, I noticed that the coverage really got better with the possibility of this tower, except down in Mount Marion, where you still had a lot of white spots and where they have a real problem with coverage. Is there any possible way that this tower could incorporate the full of the Mount Marion area? Because they always seem to getting short shrift in these things.
Yep. So the coverage map that you saw that improved the coverage in the Saugerties area was only the Saugerties tower site. Mount Marion is also covered by the additional towers that we operate from within the county. So Kingston, Tonchi, Overlook, all of those other towers would fill in some of that gap. And
okay, because right now there's a lot of gap there. There's still a lot of white area in the Mount Marion area on your maps that you showed as after the tower. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, that anything that can be done to fill those spots in would be very helpful.
Yeah, I was trying to answer your question. The tower, the map that you saw was only the Saugerties tower site. With the addition of the other tower sites that we currently operate from, that would fill in that gap or those gaps that you saw.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And let me just make sure. Oh, the other question I had was about the Mount Airy Tower. You were asked that, and I wasn't quite sure I understood the response. There is a radio frequency tower up on Mount Airy, off of 32. Why was that not a possibility? You had an answer.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
There was an answer given, but I didn't quite understand the answer to the question that was at the last public hearing from the planning board.
Yeah, I'm not sure who provided that answer, but that tower is not sufficient to hold everything that we need to have for our new system.
Okay, so it was checked out, but it wasn't sufficient to hold all the equipment. That's the assessment?
Correct.
Okay. And let me just make sure I've covered everything. Okay, I've covered all my questions. Thank you very much.
This is Joe. I have a question. Can you hear me?
I hear you, Joe.
Can you hear me?
I hear you, Joe. If you're asking Dennis, I hear you.
Is this for emergency radio use only, or will cell phones be able to use this tower?
The answer is that the county has no plans to allow cellular service on this tower.
Okay.
And if that changed, you would be coming back to the ZBA?
Well, I would presume that we wouldn't be coming back to the Zoning Board of Appeals. I would presume that the cell company would be coming back to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Okay.
Have you tested other sites?
I didn't.
Have you evaluated other potential sites to cover this area?
We looked at a general location with it, and you can heard Steve indicated we looked at one of the existing towers. We looked at the general location where our coverages were missing. And then given the fact that the county owned this site and looking at the site dynamics and running the radio coverage here, we felt that it met the county goals.
Okay.
Jeannie, you're on.
Jeannie, you're muted.
We can't hear you, Jeannie.
Jeannie, you're muted. There you go.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Good. Because I have a question. The alternative sites, I know you mentioned Tonchi Mountain or Tonchi whatever. Is that county owned?
I don't want to confuse the board. Those are not alternatives to this site. They're additional towers that the county has as part of its radio system.
Yes, I understand that. I just wondered if the county puts towers on sites that are not county owned.
Yes.
That site is.
Sorry, Dennis, go ahead. Okay. Yes, the county has radio equipment from tower sites that we do not own.
Okay, thank you. And you have looked at other alternative sites within the town of Saugerties, even if the county does not own them. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you tell us what other alternative sites you have looked at?
This is important for the balance of interest thing that the ZBA is responsible for.
Yep. So Mount Airy was one of them. The Saugerties Quarry Bank on Shear Road. Is it Shear Road?
Yes.
Right down below this site.
On Shear Road, but up above the road. There's a quarry.
Yeah, it's up on the upper side of Shear Road. Yes.
You looked at that, and that is not suitable?
The coverage maps are similar.
Yes, I'm sure they are.
But that's not a county-owned facility, right? And it's also a residential area. Is that correct?
Well, it's not a county-owned site.
Right. And it's a residential site.
It's up above.
Carries the same zoning.
Yeah, it's the same zoning.
Carries the same zoning classification as this site.
Yes. Right.
Correct. But there are not as many residences close to the site, I believe. We're just asking where you have looked for alternatives.
Well, I think we gave you that answer.
Okay, so Shear Road is one.
Mount Airy, Shear Road.
So two others. Correct?
That's correct. It needs to be,
Yes, as
it
far,
needs to be in that area, yes.
Obviously, yes, we understand that. And the zoning board of appeals is very cognizant of the fact that police and fire departments, emergency, need communications. We are not against them. We are not, we are very much in favor of them and appreciative. So I just want to make sure that you know that we are trying to do the best for the entire community, not just emergency services, not just the county. We are responsible to the entire community. And that goes to, as Patty said, the 9 factors for the Monroe. Does anyone else have a question? Tim? Henry?
This is Tim here. I had to call in because the app was crashing on my end. What was the first alternative site that you mentioned? I couldn't tell what you said.
Mount Airy Road.
Mount Airy.
Okay, thank you.
Henry, do you have any questions? I don't see you there. I guess he doesn't. Anyone else? Well, I want to thank you, Mr. Doyle.
before we go, Jeannie, if I can,
please.
I'd like to go back to the balloon test and visual simulations.
Yes.
Dan had proposed one way to do this. I think my consultants are uncomfortable or basically saying that we won't be able to do that. So my next question is I suggested a methodology where we actually go up and with a drone and take some other photos with that drone so you can get a sense of what you can see and where you can see it, and then look at those areas and make a decision as to whether or not we wanted to fly additional balloons or not. Is that an acceptable methodology?
That seems like a good compromise to me.
I think, this is Patty, I also think that would be good. In particular, there are some really beautiful residences on some rural roads up there. There's Church Road, there's Old Route 32, there are homes on Stay Road that might not have been visible with the leaves on, but without those leaves, it might open up some areas of concern from people that you should know about before you proceed further. So you can address it, I think.
I agree. And I appreciate the beautiful foliage tours you took us on with the drone. But I would suggest that you wait with the drone until after the leaves are off, and then another week or two. Because otherwise you're just doing the same thing over again. And then it's a very good way to determine whether or not you need to do a balloon.
May I ask a question?
Please.
Is it fair to ask that the residents that Patty just referred to be alerted to the fact that this drone will be flown, and is it possible for them to see the drone?
Well, any balloon
from my perspective.
Yes.
I was waiting for Patty.
I'm just going to say to the person who called that the ZBA does a public notice of any balloon test and puts it on the website as well of the town so that residents know about it.
Okay, that was Joe, Patty.
Okay, Joe.
This is Steve. It's not likely that anyone is going to see that drone when it's at 130, 150, 180. It's too small, and the residences are the closest is 850 feet away, and you're
That answers my
not
question.
likely to see that. Yeah.
All right, thank you. That answers my question.
But they would see the balloons.
Yeah, if we decide to go do a balloon test,
Yeah.
if they're not too far away, they'll see them. They're red. There'll be two of them. Pretty
Right.
easier to pick out than the drone
Yeah.
for sure.
I think that's the safest way to do it, just so that you don't confront people in the future after you've already set your plans in place and have people say they had no idea. And, we want everybody to be aware of it. And that's the best way to do it, I think.
The other thing that the drone will do is we can get the drone up there, like you said, in a few weeks when the leaves are off, as soon as there's a decent clear day, right? It's not raining or something.
Right.
The balloon is a whole lot more weather dependent and it's going to get harder. There's only going to be a few shots, where we get winds at a level where we can really put it up there. So it would be good to, as Dennis said, maybe narrow it down to a couple that we need or we know we need, so we can get them quick and get them early, because once the winds pick up after early morning this time of year, the balloon starts going sideways pretty quick. So the shorter, we certainly can leave it in the air longer for people to try and see. It might blow around, but we'd rather have a few locations we know we need photos so we can get them early and get them while the balloon is up and know they're good photos.
Okay.
Makes sense. Any other questions from the zoning board? Or Dan? Or George? No? Mr. Doyle, anything else?
Jeannie, have you discussed what you're going to do at your next meeting or what you need to take further steps?
No, we haven't, have we? But I want to end this part first, and then we will discuss that. Thank you, Dan. Remind me. I want to say thank you to Mr. Doyle for doing the balancing of the interest test on a slide, because I was going to bore everyone by reading them all.
Oh, God, no.
Please
don't.
Been there, done that. Yes. So
I would say, Gene, I would say two things. One is that we're preparing some responses to the comments that we got from the planning board public meeting, in particular the RF responses, RF questions.
Who is this?
It's Dennis, Jeannie. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Oh, thank you.
I apologize. I just wanted to say two things. One is that we're preparing some responses to the RF questions that we got at the public meeting, and some other responses relative to the whether or not we're going to use cell towers at the site, some of the alternative questions that came up tonight. And we'll put them up on the website and send you folks copies as well when those are done. And I want to extend my appreciation to the board for getting us on the agenda relatively shortly, and hopefully working together collaboratively to move this to approval. Thank you.
We can't promise the approval, but we'll move it along. That I can promise. Is there anyone else who would like to ask a question or speak? And please identify yourself if your picture isn't up. Okay, we have somewhat of a dilemma because we've just talked about having a drone flying over to take new pictures without autumn foliage. Hopefully we might be able to do this, do you think, by the 25th of November? Eric, what do you think? Think the
Steve
leaves?
has the drone, so I think it's just a
Steve,
matter of
okay.
when you're comfortable the leaves are gone.
I think it's comfortable when the drone says the leaves are gone. I'm not up there looking.
I can go up the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, whatever it takes to get the pictures that the zoning board is going to appreciate.
Good. I think that will be good.
But,
Um,
but Gene, it's Joe. To
yes,
repeat, we
yes,
need
Joe.
we need the information by November 24th, though. Is that correct?
25, correct.
25.
The day before
okay.
Thanksgiving. Yes.
Right. Okay. So when you go up, let's see
We-
if we can achieve that date.
Right. Before that date.
Right.
I guess this is Patty. I'm just not clear what picture the drone is going to give us. Is it going to give us a sense of where the balloon is? I mean, when the drone picture comes in and I'm on Church Road, how am I going to know if I'm going to see the tower? Is the drone, what are they taking a picture of?
Yeah, the drone pictures are going to show similar to what Mr. Doyle presented tonight.
Without the leaves.
Right, so
How
the
is that-
drone
how are
should
you
give
gonna
you an
make-
idea if you can see certain residences or what areas might be more visible, and then the board can use that information to decide if they think a balloon test is warranted again. And then if it is, those pictures can help identify the definite spots we want to make sure we get
I see.
shots from with the next balloon test.
I see. Okay, thank you.
It is very difficult because we understand that we're reaching the end of the year. And even though the leaves may be off the trees, the weather is going to turn. And we understand it is difficult. We've been through balloon tests before. And we know it is very weather dependent. But we didn't fly the balloons in July, which is not a good time without leaves. I was going to ask for a motion from the board to set a public hearing for this proposal for our next meeting on December 7th.
I'll second that. This is Patty.
Okay, Patty, I think I want to make it contingent upon having some kind of drone photos for us to make a decision on by the 25th of November.
Okay.
You still want to make the motion?
Sure. Yes.
Okay, motion by Patty.
Jeannie?
Anyone
Joe, I'll
second?
second it.
Second
will
by
second.
Joe. Okay. Henry. Aye or nay?
Hey, Jeannie, hold on a minute. You're having a public hearing. The question is, you're hearing, as I understand it, the hearing is strictly on the determination under the Monroe decision as to whether or not the project is immune to the zoning.
Correct.
It has nothing to do with potential variances, because there is no variance application before you.
No. Thank you, Dan. It has nothing to do with variances. There are no variances involved. It has merely to do with alternatives. Are there possible alternatives? What the effect on the community is going to be. Those are the main things in the Monroe's. The alternative, the extent of public interest, the effect local use regulation would have upon the enterprise concerned, and that kind of thing. Yes, we are definitely, the public hearing would focus on the 9 aspects of the Monroe decision. But some of the things that we've been talking about will affect those. At least that would be my vote in setting the public hearing for December 7th. But I'm going to continue. If other members of the board think it is not a good idea to have it yet, please vote no. Patty made the motion, Joe seconded. I voted yes. Henry, I don't believe you voted. Put your hand up. He voted with his hand up, yes. Okay.
Yes, Jeannie, I did. I was
Thank
muted.
you, Henry. Tim?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So it is contingent upon having the leaves off the trees. And that's a little difficult because
Information back to us prior
correct, by the 25th of November.
Yeah.
If not, we will have to postpone our public hearing and do it after Christmas. And I know you've been doing this a long time, and we apologize for keeping you. Okay, I will emphasize again, the last date for submission about this project is 4 p.m. Wednesday, November 25th, from the applicant and the public. And we will ask Mr. Doyle, who seems to have disappeared. No, there you are. Mr. Doyle, to send out notices to the public, everyone within 500 feet, as you did before. I know for the planning board about the public hearing that will be on December 7th. We all hope. I'm sorry you're muted, Dennis.
Do you have a form for those notices?
Do we have a form?
You know, I mean, what should they say?
We will
et
send you
cetera.
one.
Thank
And
you.
we will send you 500, the list of the 500 feet. Although
I'm presuming
sure
I can use the planning board's list. Would that be okay?
I presume so. Yes. So we
I'll
will
request
send,
that from the planning board.
yes. And we will send you the notice. And we will also, the zoning board actually pays for the public notices that go in the newspaper. Even if they get changed at the last minute, which they're not going to this time.
This is
Okay.
Steve Peterson. I just want to be clear. That's notices to the residences within 500 feet. Is that what you said?
I'm sorry, this is who?
Steve Peterson.
Hi, Steve. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
All
Thank you.
zoning board public hearings the applicant must send out notices to everyone within 500 feet.
Okay, thank
of the
you.
property. It's one of the things zoning boards do by state and local law. Okay. So I think that if the Ulster County Planning Board members and colleagues would like to leave, you are welcome to, because the only other thing we're going to do tonight is approve our minutes from October 5th. Thank you very much, and happy Thanksgiving, and happy drone flying.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, zoning board. The next and last item for this meeting is approval of the zoning board minutes for October 5th. I assume everyone has had a chance to read them since they were sent out several weeks ago. Are there any additions or corrections? I hear nothing. If not, I will take a motion to accept the October 5th minutes.
Motion to accept the October 5th minutes.
Timothy, thank you. Second. Henry, second. All in, we're going to vote by members. Patty,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Henry,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
and I vote yes. The motion is passed. The minutes are accepted.
Okay.
Now, thank you everyone who attended the meeting this evening. And I will take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion. It's Joe.
Joe makes the motion. Henry seconds it. Everyone in favor? Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? I didn't think so.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Happy Thanksgiving.
So long.
Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you. Jeannie,
Thank you. Thank you.
if I could talk for 1 second with you.
Yes.
Yeah, just in the future, I think my declaration at the opening of the meeting is that I am going to ruthlessly mute people because everybody who fiddles with their things, and Dennis had his feedback with his speakers and all of this, it's like, I'm going on everybody. I will give instructions that everybody should check if they're muted or not. But the default state for everybody from my position is to just mute them mercilessly. And that includes yourself as well.
Yes,
so
I agree.
I will give instructions. Everybody will know how to unmute themselves. It's a little different platform, WebEx. I cannot unmute people. I can only send a request to unmute. Now, if we were on Zoom, I could mute, unmute. But in this system, once I mute you, it's up to you to unmute yourself, right?
Really?
Yeah. So this is I will make that clear at the beginning of meetings moving forward. Just that people once, and I will ask them to mute themselves, but just with the understanding that they are going to be muted. Because I pick up everything, Dan, whatever, he's rustling papers, or people, even when you were just adjusting your headset, I hear. So that's just going to be, we're going to get a little bit tougher on the muting. I'll just make it clear at the beginning.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So I'll work up a letter or something with for them, or a template, just to say the standard kind of verbiage, and you can help walk me through the public notice for the papers.
Just send it out to me and I'll.
Great. Okay.
On Wednesday.
Yeah, exactly. I know. If we're all still here. Okay.
We will be.
We will.
Okay.
All right, everyone.
Thank you so much.
What's up, Henry?
Have a nice Thanksgiving, guys.
Yeah. You too, Henry. Be well. All right. So long, Tim. All
okay.
Right. I'm punching out.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. I can leave meeting.